Welcome. My name is Derek Sang. I'm the Technical Training Manager for Bulwark Protection. You may be asking yourself, why is the guy from Bulwark going to be talking to us today about firefighters and firefighters PPE, specifically their station wear and base layers? Bulwark Protection is the platform in which Work-Right Fire Service exists. And I came into the brand and came into the PPE solutions of station wear and base layers a few years ago during the acquisition. I have been 25 plus years now on the industrial side, protecting our electrical community against arc flashes, our oil and gas and chemical community against flash fires, and that's where my background is. Now, imagine in that community to where we are pretty much mandated to wear flame-resistant arc-rated clothing because of our proximity to the potential of an accidental thermal exposure like arc flash and flash fire, to coming into the firefighting community where my job description is in my job title to where I am actively fighting fires, and my working environment is in a 400 to 800 degree structural fire. Then come to learn that I have a very, very sophisticated, complex NFPA compliant to NFPA 1971 structural ensemble that is FR from its face cloth all the way out to its outermost layer, which would make all the sense in the world because that is my primary PPE. Where Work-Right comes into play is underneath primary PPE, closest to the firefighter. And come to find out, of the 400,000 of those career firefighters and another 800,000 of those professional volunteer firefighters, that many of them choose to be pretty optional in what they wear closest to them, with the understanding that in our normal work environment, that 400 to 600 to 800 degrees, one room and its contents on fire, a couple of rooms on fire, getting close to flashover. The concept, though, is that once we reach flashover, the protective component of my primary PPE, its TPP, its thermal performance, is designed to allow me X amount of time to escape. 17.5 seconds to 25 seconds typically. I am able to get myself away from that flashover hazard before I start receiving injury underneath, before what I'm wearing underneath my primary PPE comes into place. But come to find out, in the short time that I've been here, firefighters are routinely suffer burns underneath their primary protection. Now that may be from moisture steaming off, that may be from thermal energy penetrating through their primary protection. Why would I then take the closest layer to me and remove the FR properties? Well, the concept kind of makes sense. The sophistication of our primary PPE has gotten to such a point that there is very little likelihood of injury underneath there. I've just got to ensure I don't melt or drip. The NFPA 1975 standards for station wear or work apparel worn underneath our primary PPE allows for natural fibers like cotton. Why? They will not melt and drip as long as they don't ignite, and the likelihood of igniting underneath our primary PPE is highly unlikely. What shocked me was, of those 400 career firefighters, about 2/3 of them choose not to wear NFPA 1975 compliant station wear, and many of them allow meltable fibers in that station wear, whether that's a 100% polyester polo, 100% polyester performance apparel, whether that's 65-35 tactical BDU style pants. I say all that to say this: under those certain flashover conditions, there is X amount or a finite amount of time that we must get ourselves out of that before we're sustaining injury underneath that primary PPE. If that thermal energy is penetrating that primary PPE and it's hitting a meltable, our firefighters could be hurt more than necessary. Definitely more than if they were wearing a natural fiber, or better yet, garments that had flame-resistant properties like FR station wear. And I expand on that point because we have the data, we have the evidence. And also, when you think of your TPP, when you look at that escapability that's based on that TPP, for example, my thermal performance is a 40, that means half of that is my 20 seconds of escapability under flashover conditions. Well, that's in a laboratory, and that's done on fabric segments, not done on full turnout gear in real world conditions. And here's the example I give before I sign off. If I am standing prior to entering that structural fire outside and the ambient air temperature is 80, 90 degrees in direct sunlight, I am preloading or taking away some of that thermal performance by preloading my turnout gear. I'm in the structural fire 5 to 6 minutes in that 600 to 800 degrees prior to flashover for time. I'm preloading my primary, again, with heat. So when flashover happens, do I have the full 20 seconds that the laboratory has given me before energy, that thermal energy, can be penetrating my primary PPE and potentially hurting me? And could it be melting that 65-35, that 100% polyester performance wear, or that 65-35 ripstop style BDU pant that I have? The evidence says yes. In fact, the concept of systems approach to PPE would start with the layer closest to me. I would argue that I definitely want to have flame resistant properties as a firefighter whose job description is to work in thermal energy, that every layer has FR properties, because once I start penetrating my gear, that is all I have left to protect me. The more layers that we have for that energy to penetrate prior to me leaving, the less I'm being hurt, I'm mitigating injury. So my point is this: as we look to build the ideal PPE system for our firefighters, start from the innermost layer, look at those base layers. If I am in the station house weight room and the klaxon rings, why wouldn't I be wearing a shirt, shorts, or pants that have FR properties, but I'm able to work out in? That's my base layer. If I then don my primary PPE, I know that there's nothing meltable, that if I happen to get in a flashover situation, regardless of how much time I need to get myself out, every single layer that I have, there's nothing in there that can inherently injure me, because there's nothing there that is meltable. Just food for thought. It's just an interesting observation. Who's someone who has not spent a career in this space, who is learning about this space, and comes to find out that our firefighters, whose job it is to work in a thermal environment, unlike my industrial folks, choose to have layers that could potentially cause them harm. With that, I sign off. I look forward to hearing back from you. Any questions, follow the links below. Feel free to ask. With that, Sanger out.